one of the players that Casey Johnson did mention that the Bulls are starting to be high on and starting to turn some heads is Drake Powell. Now, you could take this one of two ways. Either it's that he's rising up the Bulls board, or he's talking generally around the NBA. And generally around the NBA, we did hear that Drake Powell has potentially a promise in the top 10. I mean, top 12, top 20, if I can get my numbers right, top 20. But he did say this. This is a guy who tested very well athletically at the combine and interviewed. Heard with multiple teams very well at the combine and was actually at the Advocate Center this week for his first workout. He might actually come back. Now he's been projected in some mocks in the second round. I'm not sure he can rise all the way up to 12, but I was told he was very, very impressive at the Advocate Center in workouts. Drake Powell. What does Drake Powell bring, right? A one-and-done prospect who was basically asked to just kind of be a lob threat and rim runner and defender. Like, he wasn't really – when you look at some of the talk about Drake Powell before going to North Carolina, they didn't really use him in a lot of the ways that was previously talked about. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the end-all, be-all, right? But it is interesting to point out that it was something to be said that people had really high hopes for this kid when it was all said and done, and he really in college never really got to amount to that, right? He never really got to be that, right? But this guy, 6'6", 200 pounds, right? 19 years old. He will be 20 by the start of the season. And when you look at what he brings, as far as a wing, it's really perfectly made. He has a 7-foot wingspan, really good off-ball defense. He can catch and shoot. He has really good athleticism as well, right? And there's a lot of curiosity around Drake Powell because he could be one of those picks that makes you look really, really smart as a GM, right? That you get him, nobody was really talking about him, and then he ends up turning into a star for you, right? He was used, like I said, basically just as a play finisher last year in North Carolina. But he is somebody that understands how to move in space. He understands how to move off ball. And that actually could help him a lot in the NBA if he gets back to kind of more what he was in college. And that's a guy that can be, more of a scorer for you at times, right? He can cut, right? When he's a very good cutter. He can shoot on the corners really well. He sets screens well, pick and pop. He can do those type of things. Now, the size, the speed, the athleticism, this guy can be a really big switchable defender. We've talked about that's important, right? Drake Powell has the potential, and I'm not saying that this is going to be 100%, but he has the potential to be one of the perfect type of wings that you look at to put in between Kobe, Giddey, and Modest, right? If Modest is going to be your 4, Drake Powell can be one of those guys because he doesn't need the ball. He doesn't have to be very ball dominant.